2014, and it's just past 7:04.
They fixed the clock.
They fixed the clock? Okay, good. Has everybody had a chance to read the meeting minutes for October 1st that we attended? You were not here, so it's John, and myself.
Yeah, I have no issues.
All right, would someone like to make a motion?
So
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting minutes for October 15th, 2014.
so
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting minutes for the joint meeting, we're going to
we didn't have.
hold those to next meeting. Next is we're welcoming our new member and associate member. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you. I'm Elizabeth Mitchell. I'm the newest member to the planning board. Very excited to be here. And thank you. Looking forward to working with everyone.
And then we have our associate member.
My name is Richard Voss, and I'm the associate member, and I'm also very glad to be here.
And we're very happy to have you forward. Thank you. Liaison reports. We'll start with the Board of Selectmen. Do we have anything?
Well, do you want me to give the recap of the joint meeting now? Would that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we had the joint, joint meeting of all the Finance Committee, Capital Planning Committee, Planning Board, Selectmen, and the Municipal Building Committee. On the 28th, the Municipal Building Committee is meeting tomorrow morning to talk about next steps. We'll be starting to look at alternate sites as discussed at the joint meeting. Eric put together a little public awareness campaign at the polls yesterday, a poster encouraging people to go through and tour the police station and really get an idea of what what the issues really are. And then, as was decided at the joint meeting, the next joint meeting is going to be December 9th.
Thank you. MVPC?
They meet in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Conservation Commission?
Nothing much. The TW job was approved, the RDA was approved. Doug had a few issues, and he asked that the conditions be accepted, that he be able to go on site, which is not an issue when it's a notice of intent. That's order conditions as part of the boilerplate. But this was an RDA, so
Okay.
that's about it. The rest of it was a lot of little small things.
Okay, so therefore we had that as a potential condition, didn't we, on the decision?
We did.
So that's okay.
The ZBA, there has not been a meeting since our last meeting. However, is there any progress on the joint meeting?
I'm going to hear back from Howie.
No.
I met with, Howie was in town hall earlier this week, and I did talk to him about it, and I got some updated contact information from him, and we're looking at doing something in the beginning of December.
Okay.
Beginning of
December.
December.
Yeah.
We have another 10 minutes for a public hearing. Are you here for anything in particular on the agenda we can move up for you?
The walking trail.
The walking trail for
Farm.
Caldwell Farm? Okay. Would you like to give a status on that, Martha?
John and Doug and I went out this morning and met with some of the Caldwell Farm residents, and the last time John and I met with the board, we had talked about, one of the board members was concerned about where we were looking at entering the site, and suggested that we look at coming in on the west side, on the Triton side, because there's some possibility of parking over there. There's that little sort of side road. So we went out this morning and took a look at accessing from that site, and determined we really need to get at least a semi-formal survey done to set the property corners of the final house there, to determine where the Caldwell Farm property is.
To see how much.
To see how much it is and how much would be going into it.
It's not her.
It's not, no, it's not your property. That's the other end.
We're the one on Elm Street.
So the status is right now that
John Mary and Tracy about seeing what we can do to get a survey done.
okay.
At least mark those property boundaries.
Would you like to
Is it
speak?
possible for me to walk with you to see what you're talking about?
Well, we don't have any further walks set up right now. Why don't you come on up and you can
Could you
introduce yourselves
Could
and.
you introduce yourself and your address just for the people listening?
Richard and Sandra Samasco, we live at 96 Elm Street. We're the house right next to the Caldwell
Oh,
property.
okay, on the
Where
other side.
One of the walking trails plans go right next to our house.
Okay.
Mr. Caldwell sold one piece of land a year to pay for his mother in a nursing home. We bought the last lot that he sold before she passed away. He absolutely loved us because he loved his property. And this guy, my husband, keeps it pristine. It is absolutely perfect. Everyone that goes by comments on the way he keeps the property. One of the plans that I'm told might happen is just off Elm Street. We're 96, we're the last one before the pond. It was told that it would come off Elm Street, run parallel with our property, parallel from front to back, with no buffer zone, no trees, no fence. Now, if those people are walking with dogs and cats and children and everything, you know they are going to end up partially walking on my grass. And I don't think that's fair as a good neighbor policy to have the entrance from Elm Street. Mr. Barry, who built the Caldwell property, sat with us at our kitchen table 3 times. He said he wanted to be a good neighbor, and he was building it. What did we not want? And I said, please, no more water. The water used to drain off there, and we would have a lake every time we had rain. He said, that's fine. He actually had his men build this stone wall, it's quite lengthy, put up all these trees to buffer so that we can't see them, they can't see in our house. It's absolutely lovely. It's not my property though. He put it on their property, which was a great gesture on his part. We love it. Now, if that walking trail comes in, that will have to be taken down because it goes right in, and it's their property. I understand.
So you want to make sure there's a buffer. If there was a trail to go through, you just want to make sure there is a lot of buffer between you two.
Between me and them. I am not
The
against,
parking too, I mean, where would all those people park that walked up that trail?
I'm not against the walking trail.
I haven't seen the
You need
plans or
to come.
anything.
You visually need to come.
Well, we've had a number
Oh,
of
yeah.
conversations about
We have.
this, and as I had said, there's no intention
Yes.
to put parking on that part of Elm Street. We're looking at other options
Right.
for that, so there
Right.
wouldn't be any in front of your house.
I'm doing this just because I don't want after the fact someone say, well, if you had said something about this before, perhaps something could have been done. I'm saying it now, so please don't put it right parallel with my property, unless you indeed are going to put up trees or a fence or something. Now, if it was a dwelling, it would have to be 10 feet over, but I'm told because it's a walking trail, it can be right alongside of my
Right on
property.
the line.
Right on the line, right on the line.
Martha,
Just, let me
Yeah.
see if I can say this. Right now, there are 3 possible entrances
Okay.
into the trail. We're not gonna select 3.
Yeah.
We'll like select 1 or 2.
Mhm.
Yours is the least likely, just so
Okay.
you know. And, but we have to take everything
Mhm.
to the board of the HOA at Caldwell and let them, they're not making a decision, but they need to see
Sure.
what it is. And then we're gonna work collaboratively with them to come up with the right decision.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And we'll let you know.
Okay, I'm just expressing my issues and concerns, and please come and see. You visually need to see what I'm talking
Well,
about.
they'll walk it, right, Martha?
Will you?
You would, before you were to put a trail down, you would walk the trail.
Yeah, but
Yes. Yes.
You
So
would.
they're hearing your concerns,
Okay.
right? You heard their concerns? Yes.
Is there any time element involved with this, at any time where they think this might actually go into practice, actually start this?
wouldn't be this year.
Well, I realize that, but, I've seen them talking about that other trail across Parker Street down to Newburyport. And it seem like they haven't done anything with that. But, I mean.
I can't say, but the earliest would be the spring or summer of next year. That would be the earliest.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just have one more thing to say. If we were sitting on our back deck on Saturday morning having coffee, sitting there, and the trail was there, the people would be 10 feet away from us, anything coming on it. And you know those animals are going to use my property for things, and I don't have animals because I don't like those kinds of things. And I'm just so concerned, I'm gonna be sitting there having coffee, and all these things are gonna become walking by, barking, children 10 feet away from, we worked our life for this property. This is all we have. And now, under the good neighbor policy, somebody's gonna build a trail, and
Well, it's not definite.
I
You
know
just said
that.
it's a possibility, and they've
Yeah,
listened to your
we understand.
concerns,
I
they'll take it into
understand.
consideration, and
But-
they've heard it, Martha, you've heard everything, and John has heard
Right.
everything, so
All
I
right,
think
that's
that
fine.
you, I think the point's
Okay, thanks.
across.
okay, got my
I
message.
do, I just wanna make sure
Thank you.
we heard you.
Thank you,
Right.
good.
All right, we have one more minute for our public hearing. You guys wanna come forward and get ready for, you're welcome to. Thank you for
Oh,
coming.
thank you,
Thank
very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lou.
At the point when we're walking, if we're looking at the trail,
Did you forget your coat, anybody? That's not yours up here, is it?
No, that's not mine.
It's fine, there, you just it was this.
But we don't have to.
I'll get it.
Accidental discovery.
All right, it's 7:15. We'll open the public we'll continue the public hearing for 108 New Report Turnpike. You're doing the presentation?
Sure. Tom Mineta from Thomas Mineta Incorporated, representing TW Excavating tonight for 100 Newburyport, 108 Newburyport Turnpike. I think since our last meeting, what we've changed, we've done a couple minor things. We added a well on the property, which is here, which was drilled because these were on, this property was on a combined well. So we have a separate well for each property. We also took into concern comments from the board regarding screening and plantings for the abutters. So what we've created is, along the back, I've created 3 like raised planting areas, because that material out there is all, you know, it's CRM. What we plan on doing is putting basically like a boulder, you know, 3-foot high boulder wall all the way around this area and fill it with loam and plant some trees. So for instance here, you know, there's 3 white pine and 2 poplar. Here it's 2 and 2. And here it's like three white pine, 3 poplar. And, you know, we just kind of spread it out along this point where we feel is, you know, most of the screening is needed. We've left the arborvitaes in this corner. I kind of changed the ones around here to kind of block any of this parking. There's a natural area here that has some existing white pines and trees in it. And we've also added, again, some raised planting areas on either side of the entrance. We've added some arborvitae rhododendrons and some white pines. So I think one side we have 5 rhododendrons, 2 white pines, and then 5 and 1 on the other side. So.
Does the board have any comments? Martha?
I'm good. I'm kind of curious. I mean, I think your sign was beautiful. I noticed you not talking about that specifically, but I was kind of curious. At least on my computer, it came through. If the sign was this big, you had a great big green field, at least on my computer, as I say, and there was all the writing and everything on the top. Is that the way the sign is really gonna be?
You can answer that.
So,
I'm just curious.
he
That's fine.
originally kind of used our like boilerplate sign, which had other things at the bottom that we don't necessarily plan to have on the new sign. So when he redid it, he kind of just left it at the top, but when we actually have the sign made, it'll probably come down more to kind of fill a little bit more of the sign, but that's the basic idea of it.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I kind of thought the same thing, but we were kind of running out of time and I wanted to get it into you guys.
So getting back to the planning, does nobody has any objection to it? I think it's an improvement. Does the board agree? It's an improvement?
Fine.
Yes. I think it satisfies the concern of the residents and it also with the entrance on Route 1, so thank you for that.
And I think we also submitted operation and maintenance.
Which was very helpful, I think. Does
Yeah,
anybody
I
have any
thought that
comments?
was good. You know, you said all the right things, but you only said them once.
Well, it wasn't me, it was actually them, so.
And it clarified for the neighbors or anybody concerned, like, what's the expectations of the operation, and that's exactly what we needed. We didn't want to tell you what you should be doing, we wanted to hear from you, so thank you. And nobody has any objections to any of the hours or anything, correct? Okay. Was there anything else, Martha, that we had to go over, as far as presentation-wise?
No, I think those were the main things,
Yes.
the landscaping and the O&M.
Okay. Do you want to go over the,
So we should go, yes, we should go over the decision. And I did get some comments back from Ginny and also a couple from George, which Ginny had also picked up as well, and I picked up some typos. This is Ginny's version. The first one is, and she had advised that we do a separate one. Actually, I need one back. That we do two separate ones, one for site plan review and one for special permit. So there's a fair amount of redundancy between the two, but and there should be enough copies
so one,
for Tom. and
That's what's like.
oh, that
Tim
makes
as well.
sense, okay. Are they somewhat redundant, or are they?
Yeah. And the first part, the project description, procedural history, and the reference materials are all the same. The findings are different. The board last time went through the findings for the site plan review quite carefully, but didn't really talk about the special permit findings particularly, which really pertain, the special permits for open storage of materials and equipment. So I took the findings that you had discussed for site plan review that are relevant to those and transferred them to the special permit.
Is there anything that you think that we need to add, since it's open storage? The one thing that was, I don't necessarily think that we need to add it, but when you talk to open storage, it's like height of piles, the stock piles.
And we had talked about that some during the site walk, and also about the fact that they're not going to be in bins, they're going to be in piles on the site, so, you know, it's.
So does
So I don't know
anybody
what
think that
you-
that's necessary, or is the board, what would the board like to,
We have reviewed that more than once.
so, we're fine, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
We're good.
I do too. So how would you like to proceed with this, Martha?
Well, I want to just point out a couple of things that Ginny had suggested, and this is a question actually for you all. Under the kind of project description, I had hours of operation will generally be between 4 a.m. and 9 p.m. And our town council's question was weekdays only, but I think the O&M said
I think it's Monday through Saturday.
Monday through
Saturday.
Can we just reference their operation manual instead of putting down hours and put a copy with it in our files?
it will be included, but we could do that.
And therefore, I mean, does that make sense to everybody? Because they've already stated clearly what the operation hours will be, and then we don't have to, and concerns about conflicts if there's an error. Does that make sense?
So that would be the case in both the site plan review and the special permit.
Does that make sense to you at some point?
The other thing that I added in the copy that you have, both of these, is we also had the review letter from Mike Riley, which I hadn't included in the reference materials. And then town council had a couple of suggestions on the special permit at the end, under duration of approval. The very last sentence, she suggested changing it to read, in such case, the applicant must submit a request for extension of the duration of approval, just to clarify that the applicant has to submit it as opposed to
Okay.
somebody else.
Well, we just went through,
And similarly, at the end of the site plan review, the duration of approval, this one's slightly different because it has to be completed within 2 years. And she suggested some changes in the last 2 sentences, so that it will read, unless approved, construction work shall have commenced and proceeded in good faith and continued to completion. In such case, the applicant shall submit a request for extension. So those were her major changes.
Is everybody in agreement? Is the board in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, are we voting to accept the document with the proposed changes? Or what are we doing?
Approve the 2 decisions.
But 2 votes.
This
2 separate votes.
still has, the special permit still has the site plan review application.
And which,
Go through these?
Special permit, second page, procedural history.
okay,
Right,
I'll change that, yeah.
just change that.
Yeah.
Now make sure everybody else knows what I was talking.
Page 2 of 6 on the special permit. Procedural history, the first sentence under procedural history says site plan review, it should be special permit application.
So, would someone like to make a motion to accept the planning board's decision of approval for special permit for open storage of materials and equipment?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and since it's a special permit, we do need to have 4 in favor, so if we can just, and Elizabeth, you can't vote on it since you weren't part of it.
Right.
So,
So,
everybody who's in
We got-
favor, yeah.
We got 4 people.
Yeah, no, I know, but if you can just state that you are in fact.
I am in favor, yes.
John,
I am in favor.
okay,
In favor.
okay,
Present.
Yes.
okay, thank you.
All right, and a motion to approve the planning board's decision on site plan review for 108 Turnpike.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
And that would be again, all 4.
Yep.
Okay, now, I will need signatures, but I need to do the final, you make the amendments and do the final draft.
You want us to drop by at some point?
Is it
Just contact
possible
us.
for
All, John can't do the signature for all of
Well, I
us?
think for the special permit, I'm kind of following Lisa Mead's example for the special permit that the selectmen did, and she had them all sign, everybody who approved.
Okay.
So, because it does require a supermajority, so just kind of a little bit belt and suspenders. Is it possible for you all to stop by tomorrow to sign it, or
Yes.
is that going to be a problem?
Maybe.
When, I guess it's a time issue, when will it be ready and when you,
It'll be ready first thing, I've got to get it filed by the end of the day,
okay.
so,
Okay, so what time you want me in, you say?
9?
Oh,
Is that-
okay. Yeah, I get it, I'll wiggle it in.
You have it, but there's a time, there's a window, it's between 9 and something, right?
Right, I mean, what time works for you all, and I'll just make sure it's ready.
I have to go to Boston in the middle of the day at
Okay,
noon, so I have to either do it early or when I come back, that's why
Okay.
I'm
can
asking.
you come early?
I can do it after 1, is that all right?
That's fine.
But
Okay.
9 o'clock.
And you're okay? Okay. All right, so. All right, so what else do we have to do next for the public hearing?
No, that's basically it.
That's it.
Close it?
Close the public hearing.
Just say
So moved.
close. All right. Do we take a motion for that?
Yeah.
I just did it.
John.
All in favor?
Who's the
Aye.
second?
Okay. So you're all set.
Thank you.
Wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So I'll file this with the town clerk tomorrow, and that will start the.
Welcome to Newbury.
Okay. Thank you. That's 21 days.
It's 20 days.
On the 21st day. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I got a split, folks.
Bye, John.
Thanks, John.
See ya.
Thanks for coming in early.
Bet.
Next is old business. So we just spoke, earlier we spoke about the joint meeting between the ZBA. Now we're still trying to work out a date for early December. Talked about the Caldwell Farm Trail
Yeah.
master plan.
You gonna miss us?
Well, the master plan is
All right.
As I think everybody knows, we did get the funding for consultant services for the master plan and open space and recreation plan updates. And one of the things that we need to start thinking about now is a master plan committee and what the composition of the committee might be. John and I are going to be talking with Tracy about putting together the RFP for the consultant services.
So what do you need the
So,
board to decide on tonight or discuss?
Do you want them to think about it, or do you want them to actually?
Well, maybe think about it, because, about when we meet next, but I wanted to get your all thoughts about who you think might be appropriate people to be on the committee, either by name, by position.
And this is not for certain, is this for certain sections of the master plan or just overall?
Overall.
And then we take those names and when we meet with Tracy, because I'm sure she'll have some people, and Jeff, I want to talk to Jeff about it as well.
So it's not members of our, but just members within the community,
Right.
correct?
Right.
And then we assume that at least Martha and myself and maybe at least one other member from the planning board will be a member.
Okay.
And then Jeff would name somebody, already he's named,
Well, Dave Mountain had
Dave Mountain.
volunteered.
The selectmen.
and then perhaps someone else from them then. So we were thinking of others, and who should they be in the town, either residents or staff, like Doug or Sam or people.
Or somebody from the finance committee, the capital planning committee.
Right.
You know, different, some towns, and like the last time we did it, we had more residents involved. It was the entire planning board and then, you know.
That's why I'm a little
residents.
confused, that's why I'm trying to understand what you're talking about.
But there are other towns, I've been kind of looking into it from some other towns, and there's some that I can't remember who it was now, but had a 15-member committee, and it was a couple of members of the planning board, finance committee, more representatives from town boards and committees.
I think that would be beneficial, because then you're getting a more diverse group of the town leaders, not just a big clump from the planning board, so.
And potentially, you know, buy in at every step of the way.
Yes. All right, so we'll discuss that at the next meeting then?
Yeah, so we'll put that on the
Okay.
agenda at the next meeting.
How large a committee is the goal?
It has been as high as 15 in the past.
Yeah, and I think the original was larger than that, and it kind of, it sort of drops in, you know, which finally came down to a relatively small group of people who were the hardcore.
Is it get too difficult if it gets too large, though, doesn't it?
I think
Because you
it's
have too many
really-
personalities and decisions and.
And it's also very difficult to schedule the meetings if there are too many people
Right.
involved.
Now, if you're not on the committee, if there's someone in town that has a specialty, they could just be appointed for a section to review in the manual. They don't have to be on the committee to participate, correct? Or do they?
I would say correct. I mean,
Because I have someone involved who I haven't discussed it with, but I think that I think I mentioned before, might be good for a certain section, but I don't think that they'd be appropriate to be on a small committee with the rest of the town leaders.
But on a subcommittee maybe?
Yes,
Or, yeah.
that's what I'm asking, is that like, do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so we'll discuss that at next meeting.
Do you need to be on the full committee and be on a subcommittee?
No, I don't think so though. I think that you can have your full committee and then you could have from that have some individuals that have these subcommittees and then have some residents pulled in. Yeah, okay, all right. We've already gone through the municipal building committee. Next has to do with the meeting in November. Martha and I will not be able to attend the next meeting, so I discussed it with John, and we were proposing that we cancel the last meeting in November. Is there anything on the agenda? I don't think that's binding that makes it necessary to hold a meeting.
Nothing's been submitted at this point. There are a couple of A&Rs that people want to talk about, and also Bill DiFrancesco wants to talk about his storage facility, but I've already discussed it with them, and they're going to be submitted for December sometime.
All right, so we were just talking about how Martha and I will not be able to attend the next meeting, and John and I spoke about it earlier, and we're thinking about canceling the meeting in the end of November. So we just want to
That's the
make.
19th?
Yeah.
Yes, so do we have to make a motion on that, or is it just a decision?
Yeah.
All right, would someone like to make a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay,
Done.
so that means our next meeting will be the first Wednesday in December.
Which I think is December 3rd.
Third.
Oh, is it?
Mm.
Could I ask a question?
I don't think I will be here.
Could I say a question about the master plan? Has it been identified, I mean, if there's an effort that's going to be ongoing to try to modify and improve the master plan, are there certain areas of focus that they are looking at where they would like to see the biggest changes? In other words, really what I'm asking is, are there certain specialties that you would be particularly, or expertise that you would be particularly interested in having participate in the master plan committee?
Well, that was kind of where I was coming before with my question, because we're looking for basically a group of, and correct me, nod if I'm wrong or whichever direction, that we're looking for a group of town leaders that can be involved in the whole process. But at the same time, they're going to be individuals that are going to be experts in a certain area for the manual, and that we could bring them in for that section, but they didn't have to be a member of the committee.
Right, but I think Richard's asking specifically what might those areas of
What
specialty
are
be?
the areas of expertise that the people are particularly concerned about having modified?
Have you seen the document that we took to the Board of Selectmen?
No, I don't know.
Why don't you send that and distribute it to everyone? Which is about a 3 or 4 page, this is what we want to accomplish.
Okay, good.
So with that, you can infer
Yeah.
who are the kind of people that we want to see.
Good, good, good.
What's the time period?
Well, it could be a year to 2 years, depending on the process.
Yeah.
What we look at this, we think this is going to be more processed than anything, is to involve as many people as we can without making it too cumbersome.
It's gotta be manageable.
So there's magic, right?
And the consultant that we're looking on hiring, what is the duration for that to complete it? Would that be within a year to 2 years, or would that be shorter?
Well, I think it would be this, well, I would say over that same time period, and that person will be a facilitator, will be taking the lead on some of the sections that need to be, where data needs to be updated based on the census, 2010 census. And, you know, potentially helping to put the whole thing together.
Okay.
Martha, as a practical matter, how do we reach out to find people who have the skills that we think we need on the committee from the community? Do you advertise in the paper? Do you ask somebody, do you know anybody who does this?
In the past, it's been through
that's
word
what's just
word
been done.
of mouth.
Okay, well, I'm just curious how it was done in the past.
It would be nice though, because just like how we've advertised, I don't think we have the money to advertise for this, but it would be interesting how we get people just involved, the planning board with expertise involved, a similar type.
But, you know, I could imagine putting a little press release in the paper and on the website. You know, again, it kind of depends on what we want the composition of the committee to be. There will also be public workshops along the way. Certainly if you know anybody who's got...
Believe it or not, it ends up being usually the same people that usually get involved. At least in my past experience when I was at the meetings, it was pretty much people that you would anticipate with a couple of people.
If you could identify specific areas in which you might like expertise, in Cornwall Farm, we have 66 units there, and with one email, you could hit them all. They're all over, well, not all, but it's an over 55 community, and it's, you know, it's a pretty heads-up place. They have good people there, and they might be a good source of certain types of talent, if that can be identified in advance.
What he was telling you to look at, you can pull that off from there, the
Okay,
different sections.
okay.
So when they talk about like the housing, what was the section that I was thinking about for the, I forget what's called, the master plan?
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing section.
Mhm.
Like I have somebody in mind for that I was gonna see if they would
Okay.
help out.
Alright.
But it's like one of those things you just have to figure out what section it is and then you.
Right, I mean, in general, the sections, and I actually can give each of you a hard copy of the master plan if you, I mean, you should have, you can also get it
It's good
online,
reading.
but it's.
I have, yeah, I've got about halfway through the master
Okay.
plan, but I just want to make sure it's the right one. It's the most up-to-date one.
Right, it's the 2006 one,
Yes, I
not the
believe that's the one.
1980 one.
No,
which is
no,
the
no,
one before that.
It's
But-
2006 one.
You know, the major categories are land use, transportation, housing, community facilities, economic development, and natural resources.
Mhm.
So last time we had people who were, you know, members of the Park River Clean Water Association, for example, who are particularly interested in the natural resources section of it. And there's some portions of the plan, like natural resources, that probably really don't need too much updating, except for, you know, some of the inventory of open space and things like that, because that's changed over time. There are others, you know, we've made some significant zoning changes to help economic development, especially on Route 1. So, and the demographics are very different, you know, they've changed. So, and there's nothing in there right now that addresses climate change, sea level rise, or anything like that. So we're not expecting to solve those issues or go into it in depth, but it needs to be, it would need to be part of any master plan going forward.
Yeah.
Any new business?
I've got one thing, this is what John was referring to, I got it, and I sent it out to everybody, I don't know if you all saw it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the, that is the lot that's right across on High Road next to the Highway Department.
Right, right, it's been for sale forever. And I did send a query over to Sam and Deb Rogers, who's our health agent, as soon as I got this, to see if they know anything about it. It really is a Board of Health issue, not a planning board issue. But I haven't heard back from them yet. So-
It's a legitimate concern, but it's directed to the wrong board.
Right, and
Yes.
I'm guessing that they felt that it was part of some subdivision or something that the planning board had approved, but,
Right.
so anyway, I will try to get some input from Sam and Deb and then get back to them.
And she'd be aware of all the issues they're having over there with the wells and the
Yeah,
septic,
that's
so,
right.
so she's the perfect person for it.
So that was the only piece of new business that I had.
Anyone else? All right, would someone like to make a motion to close the meeting? Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.